Hi everyone and welcome. I'm so happy to be part of this wonderful event of Sarah's and I'm thrilled to be sharing with you this information today. So my name is Bridget Long and before I tell you a little bit more about me, I really want to jump right in and share a bit about the subject that I'm going to be talking about today and the principles that I'm going to be talking about and how I've applied them to my life to really turn things around in the last few years. So I have to put my glasses on here because I do have a few notes and I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything that's important and I deliver it to you in the right sequence. So this video today is predominantly for those of you who want to be successful in business. And by successful, I mean they want to become wealthy and to be a wealthy business builder and to ultimately create a legacy of wealth. Okay, of course, you can use the same techniques that I'm going to share to have smaller goals, but I really wanted to address those of you who have a burning desire to do something really significant with your life. So I feel that the world more than ever needs us. The world needs women entrepreneurs. The world needs us to rise up, be bold, be courageous, and to be the example of people who have really gone for their dreams and achieved them. It starts with setting the example to our daughters, our nieces, our mothers, our sisters, and our sisters of the entire world. And then it will just, span out from there. I see becoming wealthy as an opportunity to do good for ourselves, for our families, and for the world. And that is why I really encourage you to listen attentively and take notes. And really, then we're going to go deep into, a little bit about the principles and the techniques that I have used in order to really change my life in so many ways, but predominantly financially in the last few years. So, a little bit about me. As you know, my name's Bridget, just said. I'm 57 years old. I live in Poole in Dorset on the south coast. Very blessed. I have a beautiful home right on the seafront. And I'm a single mother of 3, aged 29, 23, and 17. So big gap, lots of responsibility, and I'm really much, absolutely 100% responsible for, holding it all together. Even though they're grown up now, there's still, lots of responsibilities and joys that come with, being a parent, but multiplied by the fact that, being single brings its own challenges as well, but good ones. So a little over 10 years ago, decade ago, I was living what looked like a perfect life. I had a huge family home just outside Paris. I had a to-die-for wardrobe. I holidayed in the most luxurious hotels and palaces throughout Europe. My children were in private schools. And I had a sort of supporting role in a very successful family business. But inside, I knew that I wanted more. I wasn't happy. In fact, even though I was going through the motions, I was actually very miserable. And then a couple of quite significant incidents, family incidents, made me reevaluate my life and ask myself some really existential questions about what I wanted the second half of my life to look like. And the trajectory that I was on was not going to take me to that. So from that moment on, I told the father of my 2 youngest children that I wanted to separate. And to cut a very long story short, a few months later, I found myself completely vulnerable. I had lost everything, my family home, and my ex-partner had taken my 2 youngest to another country, his country of origin, and I was completely separated from my family and pretty much all means of communication as well. So my perception of this drama, because that's what it really was, a trauma and a drama, is dramatically different from what it was 10 years ago, but the facts remain the same. That is what happened. And from that moment on, I embarked on a journey, and I decided to never turn back. And that's where I started from. Now, I'd like to say I do not have all the answers, of course, although the ensuing years of my life have installed certain philosophies, certain principles, and certain disciplines, which no matter what business you are in, can be applied. And that's what I'm going to talk today about. 3 things, which is, first of all, clarity. The second one is courage. And the third one is commitment. All right. So the most important question that we can ask ourselves, I believe anyway, is what do you want most? What do you want most? But behind that is a very deep and profound question, which is, why do I want it? Okay. And this might not spring to mind, the thing that you want most and why you want it might not spring to mind straight away. But you know what, if you literally stopped 100 people on the street and asked them those questions, 98 of them probably wouldn't be able to tell you, at least not in any amount of detail. You know, there'll be some flippant answers, well, I want to win the lottery or whatever like that, but that's not really a plan, right? And so the first thing in order to be able to find your power is to get clarity on your definite purpose, your definite main purpose in life right now. That will change as time goes on, but then you can go on to the next thing. But what is your definite purpose right now? And I'm going to use the example of money, wealth, finances, by way of illustration, to help you a little bit about going down that road of getting absolute clarity in all its glorious detail of what is your definite main purpose in life. Okay, so that is really the starting point of everything. What do I want and why do I want it? Okay, there's lots of tools out there to actually really help you to find your deep why. And I really, really do encourage you to go on that journey, because when you find it, you'll be moved by such a deep emotion that you will be able to overcome any obstacle. In fact, most obstacles will pretty much fade away once you have that really deep why inside you, because you'll have a completely different energy, you'll have a completely different confidence, you'll have a completely different focus when you're really, really clear on your deep why. Okay? So I'm just going to refer to my notes occasionally because, you know, as I said, I don't want to miss anything. So what we're looking at here in order to get clarity and then get the wheels in motion of your burning desire is to have that definite main purpose. About a year ago, after having achieved a certain level of success and having reunited my family, I had to go in search of a new why. Because my all-consuming, burning desire had been to reunite my family and become financially independent. So I'd achieved that. But in order to go to the next level, you have to really go back and drill deep again. So I'm a business owner. I'm a professional network marketer, which is my main stream of income, although I do have a couple of other interests. And I have the absolute privilege of having access to mentors who will always enable you to take the next step if you feel ready and if you're willing to go there. It's not always comfortable. It actually can be, quite painful sometimes, but it's always worth it, because that burning desire in you is something that you can truly, truly get when you're surrounded by the right people. So I had the privilege and honor to be mentored by somebody who is second generation to Napoleon Hill. He's one of the leaders in my business. And I went to Peru twice, America, and then organized an event in London and went to Denmark to train with him on a one-to-one and also in his immersion boot camps. And this person taught me probably the most important tool was how to, once I had identified really what I wanted most, I'd got clarity on it and why I wanted it, was to map out my definite main purpose. My definite main purpose statement, which I repeat twice daily with full faith and emotion, and having a structure to that enabled me to grow to the next level, which is all about confidence and courage. So always remember, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It matters that you start from where you are right now, wherever that is, okay? Everybody who's going to be watching this will be watching it in a different life situation, a different circumstance, a different reason. So you just have to start really where you are right now, get clarity, and then write out a definite purpose statement. That definite purpose statement has 6 different parts to it. It's short, and it's something that you want to memorize and really, absorb it and make it part of you. The first thing is there's always going to be setting a date, a year from now. Then you set your money goal. Then you're going to write down what you're prepared to give in exchange for that money. The fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service. Because it's always about service to others. And if you want to increase your wealth, you have to increase the number of people that you serve. Then you have to think about, in point number 4, who you're going to become. Who you must become. How you must improve. Is it more disciplined? Is it more organized? Is it more focused? Is it more courageous? Is it more confident? Whatever it might be, you need to identify who you need to become. Then in the 5th point of the definite purpose statement, you want to really write down, what are you going to do for you? You personally, with this increased wealth. How are you going to treat yourself? Maybe think about, what would 10% of the net income of that wealth be? And what are you going to do to spend it on you? Treat yourself and do it for you. You have to be included in this. The second part, what are you going to do for your family? What would you like to do for you? Is it save up for a holiday? Is it buy your children new bicycles? Whatever it might be. Support a child's education. Help to pay for a trip, whatever it might be, something for your family. And then the third part is, what are you going to do for the world? How are you going to be a better contributor? How will you be somebody who can really make a difference on whatever level you can? Okay, so myself, my family, and the world, that's point number 5. And then point number 6 is quite simple, it's gratitude. And really being in that state of accomplishment, that state of gratitude of how you will feel once you have accomplished your definite main purpose statement. Okay, so that's the first part really that I want to talk about on clarity. Of course, we can go into this more deeply, but time is of the essence. And I have quite a few questions as well that you've asked me, and thank you so much for that. So I'm going to jump on to the next thing, which is a natural progression of once you have clarity. And that is about courage. Or we could say confidence, self-confidence. I have worked with thousands of women in the last 10 years. And probably the factor between failure and success is the level of belief that we have in ourselves, the confidence that we have in ourselves. And when we really believe in ourselves, we build courage. And we're prepared to really, scratch through concrete walls to get what we truly, truly desire. And so this is the next step of traveling down that path. It is a step-by-step building process. My plea to you is be patient. As business owners and entrepreneurs, sometimes it really is the missing element. I know it was for me. So impatient. I wanted it all and I wanted it now, and I wasn't prepared to go through the sometimes incremental and barely visible improvements, day by day, in order to really achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I had to really work on my patience, because I'm a bit of a sort of a lion-y type person. So I want it, really instantly. But I also have a lot of what we call monkey in me, which means that, I digress and I lose focus really easily. So I had to really, really work on my focus, patience, and concentration. That's what I had to improve on. And it hasn't always been easy, but it's really been worth it. Okay. So your courage will build according to the level of your faith, which is the bedrock of all achievement. Okay. And so what we're going to look at here is the kind of the bedfellows of faith and courage. Okay. First of all, you've got to choose to believe, no matter how crazy it might seem. It's a bit like, I often say, wearing a new pair of shoes, right? First, it's a bit uncomfortable, particularly if they're high heels. I haven't worn high heels for months, by the way, but in trainers or flip-flops for the last 7 months. Sometimes when you wear a new pair of shoes, you absolutely love them, but they're uncomfortable after, just wearing them for a short while. But then when you wear them in a bit, it sort of starts feeling a little bit part of you. Faith and courage is the same. It's like putting on a new garment and then just becoming accustomed to it. And that's something that happens progressively. Some of you will go really fast and some will go slow. That's okay. Everybody is on their own journey. You have to put the blinders on and stay in your own lane. All right. You have to practice your boldness. Practice your boldness. Practice your audacity. Our doubts, as Shakespeare said, are traitors. Our doubts are traitors. And sometimes we fear to attempt something because our doubts just cloud our mind. Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't have enough time. I've got too much going on. I don't know what to do. They're the doubts that creep in. And they're kind of like little gremlins that, can really eat away at you if you let them. So you have to weed your garden every day. Weed out the doubts, weed out the anxieties, weed out the stresses. It is a continual, ongoing process. If you're a gardener, I have to say I'm not a very good one, but I love beautiful gardens, of course. Then that's something which is an ongoing process. It's a lifelong journey. In a sense, you have to accept the fact you're never going to get it all done. You're never going to get all the weeding done, but just to do the best that you can every single day, to take out those things that are kind of getting hold of you or strangling you, which stop you from being, living your best life. So I'm going to go into that a little bit in the commitment part about, what you can do to really become an expert gardener of the mind. Doubts are caused by opinions of others and us taking them on board, and circumstance. So in order to really move forward, we have to be courageous in the crosswinds of opinion and circumstance, and not allow those crosswinds to blow us off course. Again, this is a building process. This is something that carries on over the course of time. Start with where you are now, even if you've only got a little cup of courage, but you have clarity about what your definite purpose is. You know why you have that definite purpose. Just choose one. Just choose one definite purpose. Why? Because if you have more than one, it's like chasing two rabbits, all right? You're never going to catch one. And then with that little cup of courage, that recipient will just get bigger and bigger every day as you build on your faith and on your courage. Okay. So what are the tools? What is the tool that I use in order to stay confident and courageous? This is where the second part comes in from my training with my Napoleon Hill teacher, is the self-confidence formula. Okay. I have studied and read many times Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And these books you can see here, it's not a huge amount, but I've read them all and some of them several times. It's an ongoing education. So be a hungry student. You know, be willing to really go inside deep, because that's where all the treasures are. But sometimes they're really, really well hidden under the obstacles that we put in front of our path. So you have to really, get out your shovel and start digging deep. And how do you get power into that shovel? Well, that's by building self-confidence. The self-confidence formula in Think and Grow Rich is like opening a magical treasure chest, and inside there's a genie, the genie of the lamp, if you like. And as you start to work with your inner genie, or your fairy godmother, I like to think a little bit, you will become strong and courageous. And no matter what the opinion of others, the dream stealers, the naysayers, the you must be craziers, or the curveballs, whether it be lockdown, whether it be, I don't know, whatever life throws at us, because it's going to continue to throw things at us, that self-confidence formula will be the backbone of building your courage to be able to keep going. The first line is, I know I have the ability to achieve my definite main purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. So you make a promise to yourself to never go back, to always be true to your course. Don't change course. Don't ever, ever, ever give up on achieving your definite main purpose. Why? Because if you give up, then you will imbue into your subconscious mind the notion of failure. And then you'll go from attempt to attempt, but you won't be a finisher. And that's not good for success. So no matter how small your next definite main purpose is, you've got to see it right through to the end. All of us are good starters. Very few people are good finishers. You have to commit to yourself no matter what happens, whatever it takes, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, of course, you're going to achieve your definite main purpose. It might take longer than a year, it might take 2 years, but you will get there as long as you decide to be courageous and then to do the disciplines every day of learning and reading out loud your self-confidence formula. Okay. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about having the feeling of being willing to stake your life on it. Sounds pretty dramatic, doesn't it? But I think really, it's got to mean that much to you, especially if it's something that's really courageous and ambitious. That's where you're going to find your burning desire. That's where you're going to find your healthy obsession. That's where you're going to find the fuel that you need to kind of peel your back off the mattress every single day and to just keep going. Act as if your life depended on it. And I promise you, your courage, your audacity, your boldness will be so strong that any kind of opposition, whether it be opinion or circumstance, will literally just dissolve out of your path. So now I'm going to talk about commitment, the third C. The day you make your decision to go all in, draw a line in the sand, will be the first of many. You're going to have to pretty much decide every day, because every day will bring its challenges. Every day will bring unhelpful opinions. Every day will bring challenging life circumstances, sometimes very small, sometimes much bigger. So you have to make a decision every day. I would say that for me, when I mentor and train my team, my leaders particularly, the first prerequisite is accountability. You must have someone to be accountable to every single day of what you have committed to do. Remember, in that definite main purpose statement, I commit to, and then the actions that you're going to take every single day in order to achieve your goal. I encourage you to find a way to invest in a coach or a mentor if you do not already have one. If that is really beyond your realm, find a buddy, like a gym buddy, right? But this is an accountability, business, and mindset buddy, okay? Because the human nature is such that you stick much more easily to your course when you have somebody that you're accountable to than if you're just accountable to yourself. That's just the way it is, okay? I'm not going to go down the psychological rabbit hole of why that is, but ultimately, being accountable to somebody is a non-negotiable and the most critical thing if you're going to stay on course and be totally committed. That will enable you to go in with a mindset that I am never, ever, ever, ever going to give up. And I will do anything it takes. So there are a few pointers about the 3 C's. I hope that it's been useful and you've got a couple of takeaways from it. I'm now going to jump into the questions. First of all, again, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time to ask these questions, and they're very meaningful, and I'm thankful. So Nikki has said, I would love to know if you knew in March that lockdown, or the ways of the world now, would be so much longer than we thought, and what would you have done differently? Okay. So this is a personal response, and it is congruent with my own business and my own life. It's actually not typical because I've built a business that gives me residual income. And so whether I not work or not, I get paid. And that was always my goal with building a network marketing organization, was to build, first of all, financial independence, of which I had none 10 years ago. In fact, I was completely broke and homeless. And first of all, financial independence, and then financial freedom. Financial freedom is creating an income or a business asset that will generate income whether you work or not, so that you choose to work, you don't have to work. That was always my big goal. Also, by the very nature of my business, it is 100% online, and so my habits actually didn't really change that much. What I did do in lockdown was I took a lot of time off the first few months. The previous sort of 9 years had been really tough, bringing my family back together. So many ups and downs. But I burnt my bridges. That was a non-negotiable. It was going to happen, come what may. And I really needed some downtime. So I took a lot of downtime in the first few months. And even though one might say that kind of slowed me down to getting to the next level, I absolutely loved it. And I slept a lot, watched Netflix for the first time in 10 years, or actually wasn't even there 10 years ago, right? I discovered all these treasures on the screen. Continued to work a little bit, but not a lot. Would I change that now? Absolutely not. It was fantastic. Also, as I said, I live on a house by the beach, so I, really made use of that. And what I made sure was that I don't listen to the news, I don't read newspapers, and I continually surround myself with positive, uplifting, and inspiring people. They can be people virtually, through things that I study and that I read and that I watch on YouTube and all the rest of it, and also people that are around me that uplift me, don't drag me down. And that is really what I did during lockdown, and I wouldn't have changed anything. The shift started to come about 4 months in, and then I decided that I was ready. I was ready to go to the next level. I was ready to commit, and I had reevaluated my why, and things started to change from there. So nothing really, sorry Nikki, that I would have changed. It's been incredible for me. I know it's been really, really hard for many, many people. When I did my TEDx talk a long time ago now, and I've evolved a lot since then, I talked about difficulty and opportunity. And with every difficulty, there comes opportunity. And I know that it's been so difficult for many people. Behind that difficulty, there is opportunity. An opportunity just to do good, an opportunity to be, a better person, to contribute more, give more, be a better parent, more patient, whatever it might be. Again, as Napoleon Hill said, with every difficulty, it carries with it the equivalent, the opportunity to do good. I hope that helps a little bit, Nikki. Thank you again. So Jules has asked a very profound question. I don't really have time to elaborate on it too much, but I'm going to give you my take on her question. What is the universal law of duality? All right. So the principle is that whatever exists has its opposite. As obvious this may sound, it is not something we think about consciously. However, I like to think of it in two ways in a positive angle. First of all, as I said about our situation here, in every difficulty, it carries with it the seed of opportunity. It's as simple as hot and cold, black and white, dark and light, yes and no. Everything has duality. The duality that exists within us is fear and faith. We can choose fear, or we can choose faith, but the two cannot come together. There's always one or the other. In my own life, I have one primary purpose. That is always to be fully present in the moment, like I am with you today. That is always the primary purpose in life, is to be fully present in the moment. My secondary purpose is everything that's outside of my primary purpose. Giving attention to every detail, every act, every thought, every word, and being fully present in that. Because in that moment of presence, there's no duality. Even if we have something really, really, really amazing happen, might be, for example, going on an amazing holiday or having a great night out and drinking loads, there's always a bit of a sort of like a downside to that. And that's really what duality is. There's no extreme high without an extreme low. So our purpose must always to be as centered as possible. It's what the Zen masters call doing one thing at a time. It's really as simple as that. And once again, remaining stoic, remaining centered, remaining present, even in the crosswinds of unhelpful opinion and circumstance. So yes, there is a universal law of duality, but our role is to find the middle path, the way which will enable us to work in a much more powerful way, in a more peaceful way, and in a more centered way. And as Louise Hay says, the point of power is always in the present moment. We might well have had moments in our lives when we have been aware of being completely present. Maybe in times of, great urgency, or, we don't know how we've done something, but we know we had to do it there and then, maybe even in an accident or something like that. Extreme sports people have this as well. When they're doing something really, really dangerous, for example, they have to be completely present in the moment. And as soon as we can not obliterate, but stay centered in that moment and not go from one swing to the other of highs and lows and highs and lows, then we become powerful. So this isn't really a description of what is the universal law of duality. It really is how to find our way through it. I hope that helps. So Angie, thank you. Oh, sorry, and Jules, thank you so much for that question. Very, very profound. Angie, what advice would you recommend for introducing mindset concepts to a young team? Okay, I have a lot of very young people in my team. Great question, thank you. So what I have found is that young people thrive on recognition. They need to feel that they're good enough, and they need a lot of encouragement and support, especially with the pressure of social media, okay? Because they're all going to be on Facebook and particularly Instagram, where it's all about selfies and filters and, you know, comparing each other and am I skinny enough? Am I pretty enough? You know, what am I going to do about this acne? Whatever it might be. So they need constant recognition. They need us to be their biggest cheerleaders. They need to feel valued. They need to feel that we believe in them, that us leaders, we believe in them. And as we pour our belief into them, as we pour our own vision into them, so they grow. Okay, that's really important. There is one little retainer I would like to say about encouraging and being cheerleaders for people. Of course, we have to be that. But you have asked me about people in their early 20s. And at the same time, when you're in your early 20s, you're fully responsible for yourself, okay? As J.K. Rowling says in her commencement speech at Harvard University, you know, as soon as you're old enough to get behind the wheel of a car, you can stop blaming your parents. So I do put people in front of their own responsibilities, and I give them assignments and I see what they do, just to see if they are ready to be coachable, they are ready to grow, and they're willing to change. You know, we have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to change, and we have to, you know, not go in a harsh way, in a gentle way, but always be willing to change. And so I see if these young people are ready and if they are willing to change. I do not chase them if they're not willing to change, if they're not willing to be coached, if they're not willing to be, you know, to grow. If they're not ready to grow, it's okay if they're not ready. I say to them, if you're not ready, that's okay. But if you are, I will be your biggest cheerleader and your biggest supporter, and I will be there for you, you know, applauding you all the way along. Okay? So always first put people in front of their responsibilities, give them things to do, see what they do. If they step up, be the biggest cheerleader. I hope that helps, Angie. Carol, has self-care been important to you? Or was there a moment in your life where you realized you needed to take priority? Absolutely. 100%. One of my early mentors, when I started this business, said to me that I had to put me first, family second, and business third. Now that brought up every single barrier of resistance. I was like, what? That's not what I was taught. That's not what I was conditioned. That's not the example I had when I was a child, or what we were taught in school, or whatever it was. That just completely threw me. However, of course, he was right. and eventually, actually quite quickly, I started to surrender and accept what my mentors were telling me, even though I felt resistance. Surrender is another subject altogether. And I started to incorporate the habits of the miracle morning. Whenever somebody is struggling in their business, the first thing I say is, tell me what you do for the first hour after you get up. And pretty much 90% of the answers will be there. Okay. And so I, today, now schedule in 2 to 3 hours every single morning before I come into my public life of meditation, visualization, exercise, yoga predominantly. I practice yoga every day, and reading and journaling. And I have done that systematically, bar very few days for the last 10 years. It's something that I love to do. There have been times when I've had to do it at 4 o'clock in the morning to fit it in. But once again, with a burning desire, a definite purpose, lots of courage and commitment, I was willing to do whatever it took because my mentor told me it was necessary. And so I just did it. As women, we're quite good at putting ourselves last. I actually call that excusitis. There's no excuse. You have to do it. Because then when we come to the world, our public life, our family life, we're better people, wiser, more patient, more loving. Because first of all, we've loved ourselves. I work and studied extensively Louise Hay's work, using mirror work. And when it comes down to it, when we love ourselves truly, completely, and unconditionally, then we can really go on and love others in the same way. But it all starts with us. So thank you, Carol, for that question. Very, very on point. Emma, thank you. The phrase mind over matter feels very prominent for your story. For someone lacking in confidence and not being able to see a positive future right now, what advice would you give? Well, hopefully my clarity, courage, and commitment tips will have helped. You've just got to start with where you are now. Start with where you are today, this minute. Find a mentor, find someone who is at a place today which is where you want to be. Financially, confidence, freedom, whatever it is. Ask them what you need to do. They will give you things to do, and do them. Take responsibility. Learn how to control your inner self-talk. It is the greatest of all arts. When we can direct our inner self-talk, because that's what a lack of confidence is, having negative self-talk, we become masters of our own fate and captains of our destiny. So my advice always is, find a mentor, find a coach, find a buddy, whatever it might be, but get started now today. Make a decision. Decide today, right now, to never go back, to commit, to be the best version of yourself every day from where you are now, because you are definitely good enough, because you've asked this amazing question. So that shows that you're ready. Okay. And then the last question from Margot about network marketing. Thank you, Margot. I'm so proud of my industry, particularly what it does for women. So I'm really glad to finish with this one today. What are your top tips for building your network marketing team? Well, pretty much what I've spoken about. Here's something. Network marketing works 100% of the time for 100% of people who are 100% all in. Okay. No matter what your business, there will always be examples of people in the same business as you who have been very successful. So why have they been successful? And maybe you are still seeking that level of success. It all starts with you, begins with you. You have to be 100% all in. Be willing to do whatever it takes. Burn your bridges. You have to level up. It doesn't matter what anyone says or what your team is doing. You never even look at that. You're just looking at what you're doing every day. Because it all begins with you. I work with teams of women in America who have achieved greatest levels of success in the last, this year than has ever been seen before in the history of our company. They have emerged 73 new top-level leaders in their team, whereas before that long would normally take probably 10 to 15 years. It's taken them yet less than a year. And what I realize is that most of them, first of all, started with taking full responsibility for what they were doing every single day. And some of them had to really do it alone for a year, 18 months before the team started to build. And so it's all about your own level of commitment. They say you only have to bring in or sponsor one person, that's you. And be willing to do whatever it takes, find a mentor, be accountable, take massive action, attend all meetings, and have a huge goal. And just go all in. When network marketing is done well, it's a fairy tale. It really does free women You have to learn the skills, be willing to really change your habits every single day, be in continual self-analysis, be accountable, be honest with yourself, put the time aside, and give it your very, very best every single day, and it will work. Lead by example. Would you like to be in your own downline? Would you like to be your sponsor? Those kind of questions, you know, they all start with us by looking in the mirror and really, really saying, I'm willing to change. All my unhelpful habits that have crept in. It's not just about your work habits as well. It's a holistic approach. It's your discipline in terms of what you eat, how you exercise, how you think, your attitude towards others, especially when they're not showing up. You know, it's not just a one separate thing and then, you know, outside you can do whatever you want. Because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And so no matter what your business, these are principles that do not change. These are ideas that can be applied anywhere, no matter what you do. And it will enable you to take your life to a whole new level of excellence and outstanding. And this is what the world needs today. Courageous women who are willing to lead by example and to show the world that there really is a way that we can make things exactly as they were intended to be, which is an incredible world full of love, full of leadership, full of abundance, full of joy, full of contribution. And it all starts with where we are today. That's me. I hope that you found this useful. Please reach out and connect with me on Facebook. Send me a friend request. I'll accept it. I'd love to get to know you all a little bit better. And please message me and let me know if anything I've said has been helpful today. It's been a privilege to share these few minutes with you. And I look forward to connecting with you all very soon. Wishing you the best day of your lives and see you again. Bye-bye.